Can I ask you to further explain in detail how you have collaborated with the government structure and the Ministry of Health in this identification of risk individuals? You have experience in mentioned briefly, but if you can elaborate on how exactly it has happened.
Yeah, it's thank you very much once again. The overall goal of the government response strategy actually was to prevent further transmission of COVID-19 and also to prevent its spreading within the country. So actually what we did was that His Excellency the President appointed me as the head of the COVID-19. All the professionals of different fields, especially from the health sector under the Director General of Health Services. In fact, the Honorable Minister herself, she was there. And we actually, what I did was to get this all together to a mechanism and to fix this to an engine. All parts were collected and it was made an engine there. The engine was the strategy which went ahead to in response of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka.
Thank you. Now, Sri Lanka is considered as an upper middle country with its own advantages and disadvantages. Sri Lankan public health system is very strong. Similarly, the Sri Lankan Triforces have a lot of experience at the operation level. What were the unique challenges you faced during this response?
Actually, I believe that this is the first time that the military get involved in such a thing. And of course, the most unique thing was the contact tracing that we got involved. And to tell you, we are a nation that we defeated a ruthless terrorism from the soil of this nation. And for that, for anyone, we should know what is our requirement. Any field is the same thing, why we are existing. So even in military, we do the same thing. Why the army is there, for what reason? So here the case is what we wanted to in COVID-19 was how this is going to affect our society. How? It has come to Sri Lanka at one stage, then who is there, who is doing this, and how can we prevent? So what we were doing is we extensively used the Sri Lankan intelligence services. And they are the people, along with the PHIs, and we have a very solid system which will be described by the Director General Health Services, how the ground level, the Sri Lankan medical services are operating. So we got the use of them in connection to collaborate with our intelligence services. And the most unique thing was the contact tracing. That was a challenge that we had. And also we never knew about what is these quarantine centers. We never had this. His Excellency the President, when told me to put up something, our aim was how best we look after our own people. It's not others. But we started off looking after the 31 foreigners initially with 16 nations. They also came to us. So what I believe is that we wanted to give the best of the best facilities, but to ensure that they will not spread within the quarantine center. That was a massive challenge. I know that even in our country, some people argued or viewed that how can military do this? We did not have experience. It was like a on-the-job training that what we did. But we put up with his we have a great health services, as I mentioned at the opening remarks. So got the advice from them and we did all what they wanted. We executed their ideas there. And we managed to prevent at the very first stage, the first stage of when we brought Sri Lankans from abroad and other people who came from abroad, more than 3,600 we quarantined in 51 quarantine centers. But the uniqueness was not a single spread from A to B within a quarantine center. Those who got 33 cases, they all were who came with the COVID-19 who admitted straight. So that was a challenge that we had. And thereafter, even working with all other agencies, they are really true professionals and they are thinking, you know, that it's not like that. But our country is a unique country. We believe unity. our unity was the strength to fight against COVID-19. And so Sri Lankan military always believes the motto, nothing impossible. So this nothing impossible with unity strength managed to do this, and these are certain challenges that we had.
Thank you, Commander. There's another question that's coming from our participants. They're asking how many were quarantined in Sri Lanka? What was the number?
Yes, now this is a bit of a question. Now we had two processes. One thing is we said in my earlier when I spoke, we had containment, prevent spreading, then to look after the who got confirmed from this thing. Now for the containment, what we did was initially we brought from foreign countries who came. That was the first stage. After that was over, now we started off with the contract tracing. Whoever a person who got, initially what we did was, if a person got confirmed, then we found who are the contacts. All contacts we found, first, second, third tier, and they were self-quarantine and all house quarantine. They were put in a house quarantine, self-quarantine. Then as I mentioned, that crowd is different. Then the third crowd was these quarantine centers. Initially we started a broad group, later we got this contract tracing, they've also put quarantine. That group has gone, we already have released more than 4,600. Another, as of today, we have 3,900 in quarantine centers. That comes to almost about 10,000. Then, plus, those who were not sent to quarantine center initially, who was quarantined in houses, but this has two categories. Some people came from abroad. The government policy was, whoever who came from abroad should be quarantined in a house. That crowd went up to 55,000. So with the contact tracing, there was another about 4,000. So approximately about 58,000 we were trying to isolate. You can't say quarantine. We isolated them in their houses, but that is the number.
Yeah. Thank you, Commander. What are the good practices that you can suggest to the regions in the country? Because this was a unique approach.
Yeah, of course. Now, before finishing that, I think one might think that we had 60,000 cases. No. Actually, you know the numbers of cases, but those associated that we were trying to hold them on isolation. Yeah. But yes, the good things are that I believe that the main thing, of course, the best practices of self-discipline of individuals, without which you can't do anything. You can bring the best practices of the world, but it's not going to work unless every individual of the society have a motto. That the motto is nothing but that I will not get infected by somebody and I will not infect another person. That is the principle of every human being as a citizen. That is the greatest duty that you can do to a citizen. So I think that everybody should try to practice through media. Media is a massive role they can play in this game, COVID-19. So they must educate each and everything. We know how the Director General Health Services and their doctors every morning till night they do. So you have to educate the population exactly, because still we do not know how this is spreading. There are things, still it's learning. So we have to educate them. That is one most important thing, what I think. The other thing is contact tracing. Without tracing, you have to, one might argue that why military? Of course, in a country like, a unique country like our island nation, Sri Lanka, they have good public health system. We can do it, but still, without which I think for us in our government is elected military, but I think that was a contact tracing is one of the most unique thing that I can suggest for them. And also maybe after that, there should be some method of quarantining anyone, whether self, house, or a center. These are unique things. I can keep on explaining, but I know limited time, these three things is the most unique, I believe.
Yeah. Thank you, Commander. I think you mentioned the importance of the education, communication as well. The whole idea of this conference is also community empowerment. The community need to be empowered. The health education, communication is very important, and where the media plays a big role.